Hello everyone. This lecture is very important. Grab your pen and register to jot down the important points. Let's jump in. Prerequisites of Précis writing. Before attempting Précis writing, I assume that you have a basic knowledge of English grammar. If you are weak in English, then a better idea is that you should take a basic grammar course. Because your write-up should be free from grammatical errors. A basic writing skill is necessary for writing a good précis. You don't need high-profile, difficult vocabulary words, but you have to write précis in your own words. So basic vocabulary is necessary for précis writing. When you have sufficient vocabulary, you would be able to say any idea in few words. I recommend that you should practice comprehension exercises before preparing for précis writing. It will expand your understanding ability. Word précis is from a French origin, which means precise or brief. So précis is actually a concise summary of a given text. While writing a précis, consider yourself in a situation that the reader doesn't have time to go through the original passage. And with just reading a précis, a reader must know all the essential ideas given in an original text. So your words are a bridge to understand the passage. Think that the other person's understanding is based on you. And make yourself responsible that the next person must understand the theme of a passage and all the essential points related to that theme. So your understanding and your language skill both are tested in précis writing. We'll keep all the essential points that are relevant to the main subject. Précis writing is an art that has a practical significance. This skill has a widespread importance in all kinds of jobs, whether it's a government job or a private job. General guidelines and rules of précis writing. You must be well aware of these rules while attempting a précis question. Unless it is mentioned, it is an established fact that length should be reduced to 1/3 of the original. For example, if you have 645 words, then divide it with 3, and now for the précis you have 215 words. Don't get too sensitive for it. Plus minus 10 words is a flexibility that is acceptable. If your deviation remain between plus minus 5 words, then it is ideal. But up to 10 words is acceptable. Examples, quotations, direct speech has to be omitted. If the original passage is in dialogues, you have to convert it into indirect speech. If a précis is in dialogues, then students find difficulty in how to start a précis. For example, if dialogues are between Ali and the class teacher, then start like this. Addressing Ali, the teacher said that. And when you have to write what the Ali has said to the class teacher, start like this. Ali in reply, and then your content goes on. Actually, you have to write précis in a third person. If the passage is written in first person, then you have to convert it to third person. For example, if the passage is an autobiography or if the author has written with the personal perspective, then in this case you can start like, and if the name of the author is written at the end of the passage, then you can start your précis like. In some rare circumstances, the original passage doesn't allow for a third person, but generally most of the time, indirect speech is a requirement. You have to write précis in your own words, but you can take key terms. That key terms are main subject of your passage. The tense of the original passage should remain unchanged. Exception is there in a very rare circumstances, but don't get confused with that. Those examples are from the literary writings. Just remember this rule. Don't use high-profile vocabulary words. Use simple and easy words. You can't write your personal opinion in a précis, that's one thing. Another thing is that your own knowledge or information about that passage should not affect the ideas given in a passage. Don't add anything extra. The ideas taken from the original passage must be presented in a way that there should be connectivity between sentences. So it feels like a continuous paragraph. A logical flow should be there. If numerical facts are important, they can be written in their verbal equivalents. Like 50% of the population can be written like half of the population. And for example, if the fact is not given in percentage, it is given in another absolute terms like 40 lakh acres of agricultural land is checked for diseases. If a writer is giving a sense of a large area, then you can write it like a large area of agricultural land. Normally the facts are given to strengthen the argument, so you must convey the meaning of that particular point. Poetical and literature-oriented figures of speech and flowery language must disappear from your précis. Same tone as given in the passage. Okay, listen carefully. If passage is from literature work and whole of the passage has poetical expression, then such type of passages should be treated with care. We normally refrain from flowery language and figurative expression, but in poetical expression we should maintain the tone of the passage and shouldn't make it too dull for the readers. There isn't any hard and fast rule, but it's recommended that maintain the sequence of ideas as given in the original passage. But you can conceptually relate ideas and change sequence for a better understanding. Keeping these rules in mind, now let's go through the stages of précis writing. Reading and inking stage. It's recommended that you should read the passage twice. Third reading is actually a verification of your previous understanding so that you shouldn't make preliminary judgments. A good understanding is a must for précis writing. During your second read, you have to start marking important points. All the essential ideas must be marked. Guys, reading stage is very important, very crucial stage. The writing stage is based on what you have conceived about a passage, and you must understand a theme of a passage, a central idea behind a passage. You have to identify a topic sentence. A topic sentence is a sentence that provides you the central theme of the passage. There is no hard and fast rule, but they are generally found in the end or in the beginning. So one or two sentences could be very important inside a given text. But sometimes there is no topic sentence, and in this scenario, after reading the whole text, you get the understanding that what it is all about. While reading, you must ask yourself, what is the subject of a passage? What matter is discussed about that subject? What is the purpose of the passage? Is there any learning or message inside? What is the central theme of a passage? Actually, in this way, your mind will find the answers and you will better understand the given text. Reading stage is a test of your understanding that which information should be retained in a final contracted version. You must be able to identify the important points that are relevant to the main theme of the passage. Okay, this is very interesting slide. Many students are just familiar with underline when they have to highlight any idea. क्योंकि बचपन से आपने ये सुना होता है कि important points को underline कर लें. I want you to be a little creative with your inking. For example, if you are confused about a particular point, then put a question mark over it. And circle your keyword or tick your keyword if you think that it's the main subject of the passage. Lock your ideas inside inverted commas. Separate same idea sentences with the slash or brackets. If any ideas seem to be important, then you can put an arrow sign over that word or a phrase. Normally I put arrow sign over action verbs to identify what's happening. If couple of sentences talk about the same thing, then you can put a semicircle in the margin of your passage so those sentences could easily be identified. Link the idea of one sentence with another sentence with this extended arrow. If you think that the keyword would help you in creating your title, then you can put a triangle beside it. And you can also use these signs in combination. Unlock your creativity. Let's understand it with the help of an example. Example of a properly inked passage. ये पैसेज मैंने आपको टाइटल सजेस्ट करने के लिए दिया था. This is a little bit difficult passage and let's see how to understand it. If you do a practice on a difficult one, the examples given in a grammar books would seem much easier to you. Pause the video and read this passage twice. I hope you have read this passage. Our main keywords or main subject is identified as New Public Management and Pakistan. Because text is about New Public Management with reference to Pakistan. Let's mark the ideas. Spreading, coerced, pressurized developing countries. Word from a first sentence is repeated in a second sentence. So stop here and carefully check it. And you can see that an idea is overlapping here. For getting financial assistance. Linking third sentence, Pakistan is a developing country. So Pakistan is also pressurized to adopt NPM ideologies. Linking third sentence with the first sentence, these are the description of the ideologies. पैराग्राफ को प्रॉपर्ली अंडरस्टैंड करना बहुत ज़रूरी है प्रेसी लिखने से पहले. So I'm putting a semicircle in the margin of the first three sentences. Put a slash here. New drive of NPM. Pakistan established institutions. Corruption and inefficiency associated with state-led governance complemented the reason of IMF factor. Very important line. There are two reasons behind these reforms: IMF and inefficiency of government. You have to mention these reasons in your Précis. Pakistan granted more provincial autonomy, drive of new public management. So conceptual similarity is identified between this line and the above line. Both lines are explaining what Pakistan is doing to follow NPM policies. And conceptually, third line is also a manifestation of NPM policies. Now government is facilitator. This sentence is conceptually connected with the previous sentence. People are considered as customers rather than citizens. Equality and equity are replaced with competition ethos. These two sentences are general statement on NPM rather than specifically related to Pakistan. Last sentence, government departments are gaining more autonomy. Last sentence is conceptually related to these three sentences where Pakistan condition is discussed. In this stage of reading, we are also linking ideas, but that linking is happening inside our brain and we are just inking it. So these arrows coming from the margin are explaining which sentences are conceptually related. So this is a proper way of understanding the whole passage. Writing and linking stage. When you completely understand the passage, you enter into the writing stage. Create your first rough draft. A good understanding creates a strong foundation to write your précis. You have to create sentences on essential points. But at the writing stage, you must understand that how to express your ideas concisely. With few words, you must deliver your concept. And I will explain this point in detail. Now let's see the technical underpinnings of writing stage. This slide will explain that how you can concise your ideas. There are two ways we contract and concise our passage. Omitting the non-essential points. If the sentences has the same meaning, you can omit it. Examples, illustrations, quotations, and any extended explanation that deviates from the main subject have to disappear. You already studied it among the rules of précis writing, but this is a point we should discuss in detail. When we have to keep the idea but express it in fewer words, we can modify sentences. We retain the meaning but reduce the words by modifying sentences. How you can do it? Check if you can convert the phrases in single words. What is called one-word substitution? Let's understand these points with the help of an examples. You can convert the phrases or even the whole sentences into just single word which can deliver the meaning of that sentence. In this example, the meaning of this sentence is conveyed with this word, unwillingly. Read this example. In this example, two opposite ideas are there, and with the help of a sentence connector, we can join these opposite ideas into a single sentence. Why not take an example from a passage we used in reading stage? We are taking first three sentences. These two phrases are converted into one word or two words. In just single sentence, all the ideas are retained. We talked about developing countries. NPM ideologies are widespreading. They are imposed on Pakistan as a precondition for getting financial assistance from international organizations like IMF. So this is a proper way of doing précis. After completing your first draft, count your words, and if needed, modify your sentences to achieve your desired target of words. Think about a title of a passage, and think in how many ways you can express your title. Sometimes our mind satisfies too early, so always give yourself a room for thinking. Maybe you will get a more good idea after your initial idea. Improve your title if required. Sometimes you have to think appropriate word, but sometimes passage itself provide you the title from the topic or key sentence. So what should be the title for this passage? The passage is about NPM and Pakistan, so the appropriate title is New Public Management in Pakistan. Qualities of a good title. Your title should reflect your theme. It should conceptually cover the whole given text. It should not be a single word or a complete full sentence. Ideally, your title should be a small phrase. There are some ways you can think about your title. Our first priority is to create a small phrase. Sometimes a passage is difficult to express in a small phrase, and you feel like there must be other ways to suggest a title. For example, if a given text is about historical developments of strategic human resource management field, then you can use a colon to suggest the title. For example, SHRM, Evolution of the Field. You can also choose to write a title in a question form. Sometimes question is the best way to express all the ideas of a given text. For example, if a passage is about suggestions on improving education system, then you can write a title like How to Revamp the Education System. And we entered into the sublimation stage. Now all the work has been done and you are satisfied with your work. Write your final version on the next page, which should be without any mistakes and any grammatical errors. Start like the way you start a paragraph. Write total words and write a title of your Précis. So these are the qualities of a good Précis. Coherence, a logical flow from one sentence to another. Your ideas shouldn't feel like they are disconnected with each other. Coherence is automatically created when you know a conceptual link between sentences. And sometimes we use the sentence connectors like so, concludingly, therefore, thus, besides. If there is a contrast or comparison, we can use although, yet, however, despite this, even though. Don't excessively use them. Use it when it is required. So this is art of Précis writing in one frame. A good Précis must have these three qualities, and you know how to achieve them. Your writing is based on how you modify a given text. Omit and modify.